Hello, randos, and welcome to the premiere of Random Tables, the show where I sit down with a random game master every 2 weeks, and we'll continue the story from where the previous left off. We don't have to do that because this is the very first one. My name is Michael. I am your solo player and host, and with me today is the fabulous Klaus von Hohenlohe.
Guten Tag, everybody. It's me, Klaus.
Klaus, will you introduce yourself and give us your whole spiel?
Absolutely. So I am known as the Dungeon Noobs Guide. That's NEWS on YouTube, where I teach people to play all kinds of different titter pigs and also how to use various tools to make games more accessible for a variety of reasons and stuff. I'm primarily consider myself an educator in all things nerdy, and occasionally a reaction video maker of old cartoons. Who's to say? And my next video that I am well underway into editing is how to play Quest, a system that has some relevance today.
And that's why you were the first person I thought of when I was like, who am I going to have for the premiere? We've talked about it a lot, and you know, we've become good friends over the last year, and so I was like, this has got to be Klaus. Just since it's the first one, just a bit about Quest. Quest is great because there are no stats. It is a D20 system. And the great thing about it is it's just you roll and there's a list of things that happen with whatever you roll. So anytime Klaus has an idea for when I should roll, when there's a possibility of failure, a natural 20 is a triumph. An 11 through 19 is a success. A 6 through 10 is a tough choice, so I succeed in my task, but he will give me a tough choice that will come along with that success. 2 through 5 is a failure, and then finally a natural 1 is a catastrophe. And literally, that's basically the system. It's super simple, and I'm really excited to jump in. A little bit about what's happened is I've created the very, very broad strokes of a character and a world, and I am just handing it off to our lovely GM here. Essentially, I will be playing Durian, the Battle Bard. And he is traveling the Shattered Isles in search of truths hidden in a world of secrets. Bards are seeking knowledge in tall tales, myths, legends, mystical items that were once foretold to be lost. And that's it. That's all I have, and Klaus is taking the reins from here on out. So welcome everyone to the Shattered Realms. I'm going to pass it over to our game master.
All right. What an interesting idea. I love this. So let's just jump into things. We open up on the Isle of Trassel. It is a kingdom that is floating in this expansive and semi-unknowable abyss that is the Shattered Realms, a world once whole, now broken into pieces that have only the most tenuous of connections. Is Durian from the kingdom of Trassel, or have you perhaps taken one of the rare ships that are able to traverse the void to Trassel in seeking out adventure from perhaps a simpler home?
He is absolutely not from Trassel. He is from a floating isle known only to the Order of the Bards.
Ooh, I love it. You are on one of these ships. It is attempting to take some goods. Primarily, it is. You notice that it is taking over large amounts of fresh water and stuff to this kingdom of Trassel, but you've managed to barter your way onto here to get travel to what sounds like an interesting place. From what you've heard, Trassel is a kingdom that's going through some struggles. The isle is fairly large. There are a number of villages around it, and the majority of the remains of a very large castle. And you can see as you sail over this swirling black starry void, the island in the distance, and perched on the edge of this isle, you see the majority of a castle that looks like the back half has just fallen off into it. And now what used to be this kind of expansive courtyard has been fashioned into a port of sorts. You only see one other very, very small ship that's docked there as this ship approaches in, and a few people kind of bustling around the castle, but it seems kind of underpopulated. This castle looks like it should be supporting a lot more people here, but there's just not a whole lot going on as you get in. What is something that Durian sees in this little castle town that lets him know that this isn't quite the bustling town that he heard it was?
I would say Durian first glances at everyone's clothing. You know, he was taught, or he was told, that, you know, they wore the finest silks, all embroidered with gold, and that there would be a welcoming party for every ship that comes into port. And when he looks around, it just looks like he's just coming into like a workman's port. You know, there's ratty, dirty clothes and folks that probably haven't bathed in days, if not weeks. And they look like they are hard-nosed, blue-collar, working as hard as they can. And this isn't as lavish as I was once told.
Indeed. The ship sails in and nestles into dock. The few crew that are on this ship are jumping off, tying it out and everything. And you step out onto the docks and everything, watching these people kind of unloading these barrels. There is one disheveled person who seems to be acting as a dock master, who is kind of talking with the captain of the ship, hands over a meager-looking bag of coins or whatever, and looks around watching as the barrels are unloaded, and he glances over at you and kind of raises an eyebrow a bit.
I look around, you know, I have my things, I gather them up, I throw my backpack on, my loot axe is strapped to my back as well, and I kind of headed down the plank. If he seems to be the person in charge, I'm going to go directly over to him, and I'm like, oh, excuse me, sir.
Hi there, Mr. Fancy Clothes. What you hear about?
Yes, I am Durian Greyhawk. Some may know me as the Battle Bard. Sorry, I'm looking around. Perhaps this is not my stop. You see, I am headed toward the Isle of Trassel, and was told...
Yeah, welcome to the... He kind of clears his throat, hawks something out into the void and everything, and kind of... Welcome, one and all, to the glorious city of Trassel, the gem of the floating Isle of Trassel, ruled by the King Trassel. There you go.
Oh, okay, so I'm not lost. This... Great. I have been summoned, as well as I'm seeking tales of mysticism and adventure. Who might I seek out here?
Tales of mysticism and adventure. I mean, Johnny over at the pub, once he's had a few, he's got some pretty good tales to tell. Don't think none of them are true, but you could definitely go talk to Johnny. I mean, what? It's like 1 p.m. Yeah, he's got to be drunk by now.
Well, thank you, kind sir, for your troubles. And I pull out a coin and I just kind of like hold it out for him to grasp.
Oh, thank you kindly, sir. You say you were summoned. Were you summoned here by the king himself, or perhaps by the chancellor?
Ah, yes. And I reach into my backpack and I pull out a scroll and I look at it because I'm not quite sure who has summoned me here. Yes, it's, let's see, you're cordially invited. Please come at once. Signed.
Oh, yeah, that right there. That's Chancellor Marigold.
Ah, yes.
Oh, he probably wants you to fix the lake.
The lake.
Yeah, lake up and pissed off.
I'm sorry.
The lake, it up and pissed off. It's gone.
Ah, yes. Well, that is interesting. There's a little like sparkle in his eye.
It might be interesting to you. I haven't had a proper bath in a month.
Yes. Well, I'll get right on it, sir. I'll try to get you that bath.
I would appreciate it greatly, as would my wife.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to think if I want to stop by the pub. It's midday. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll stop by the pub to maybe kind of just like sit, just for one drink and maybe keep an ear out for something that piques my interest, if that's possible.
Absolutely. So you get there, and the pub. There is a layer of grime in this pub that defies expectation. You've been in some gnarly pubs, but turns out when you don't have extra water for mopping the floors and stuff, there is just a layer of grease on here that as you step and your foot slips a little bit, you realize that the wood is a few shades lighter than you had first realized when coming in here. It's just
covered in
unpleasant.
Gunk. Oh wow.
Yes. Bartender comes over. It's just like, all right, yeah. How can I help you there, stranger?
Your finest ale, please.
Well, that's great. That's the same as the least finest ale. We have one.
Ah, yes. Well, I'll take that then.
He will go, and you see him kind of like tap out and like scrub at a cup with a towel and everything, pouring some ale in. As he does, an arm slaps around your shoulder and pulls you into a hug. A man who smells like it's almost as if something crawled inside of him and died, only after something crawled inside of that thing and died first.
Sure.
There are layers and waves of this funk and miasma that just kind of buffet you, and then a voice seems to just kind of gurgle through this putrid alcoholic breath that goes straight into your face, this hot wave of just, well, hey there, fancy boy.
Oh, God.
Ooh, fancy lad like you coming here, maybe, dropping off the latest shipment of Trevian whiskey, perhaps? Fancy little merchant boy, maybe?
Sorry, friend.
Call me Johnny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm going to lean away as to see if I maybe scooch over a stool. And I say,
He'll plop down in a stool right next to you and like smile at you with that uncomfortable familiarity that only the truly drunk seem to possess.
I love it. I'm sorry, friend. I'm not here with your ale. Perhaps it is on the ship I came in on, but I am here to see the Chancellor, and I thought I would partake in your fine establishment's ales and before I went to see them.
Another one of the Chancellor's boys. Off he goes. See you again never, you sucker.
I was told you could share some of the most wondrous stories. And I slide him a coin.
He takes that coin and immediately slides it toward the bartender who's coming to your table. And you see just this exasperation come over the bartender as he takes the coin reluctantly and like gives you just this momentary glare of God damn it. And he walks away to go fetch a drink, and Johnny's like,
sorry.
No, let me tell you the tale. So you notice that lakes, they don't run away like rivers do, right?
Yes, lakes do tend to stay in one place, yes.
That's what makes them lakes, you know?
Yes.
Our lake, it just nicks off. It flows away. And everyone says, oh no, it's no big deal. Just stay clear of the area. The lake was by a cliff, and they say it just collapsed or whatnot, you know that? Chancellor's not telling the truth. Chancellor don't want people going there because he just didn't want people to know about the Shadow King.
I'm sorry, you said the Shadow King.
He like grabs you and pulls you close as if he needs to whisper this secret to you, and it's like a hammer of smell just hits you again as he's whispering in your ear, and you can feel the moisture of his breath just
Klaus.
coalescing in your hair. As he whispers, he's just like, Chancellor doesn't want nobody to know about the Shadow King, but old Johnny. So Johnny was out there. I saw the Shadow King in his tall building. You know, when a building it's like real skinny and tall.
Yeah.
What do they call that?
A tower?
That's the word for it. Yeah, it's in his Shadow King's tower. You're a smart man.
Well, thank you.
Merchant.
Thank you, friend. And I'm trying to like rush the bartender. Like, okay, I think I've had enough of this story.
Yeah. The bartender comes and sets Johnny's drink on another table, and Johnny is just like, I'll bet you could say, sir. And he stumbles over to that table, and you hear that drink guzzling down at rapid speeds.
Oh, God. So I will pull a little notebook out of my bag, and I will jot down some of these notes. You know, Chancellor Marigold, lying ? Shadow King underlined a couple of times with some question marks around that as well. And then I will finish my ale. I will drop a coin, and I will head, I guess, towards the castle, the center of town, city hall, whatever it would be.
Yep. You head towards kind of the central keep of the castle. There are some guards standing duty there. They will check your papers and see that you have an invitation to see the Chancellor, and they will lead you to an inner chamber where the Chancellor is. What does Durian see that lets him know that this Chancellor is most certainly a little better off than the rest of the people here by perhaps a little more than he should be?
Yeah, if I were to Sherlock Holmes the situation momentarily, I would say that they're probably a rounder build from eating, you know, the finer cuisines, perhaps even currently eating at the moment. The garb that they are wearing are what I had imagined the people of this isle to wear. Fine silks, embroidered in gold, and I think they have a big hairdo. Perhaps it's a wig, perhaps it's not, but their hair is, as they're probably a little shorter than I am, their hair makes them taller than me. Perhaps even some small heels.
Oh, yes. Yep, indeed. You step into this office and you see Chancellor Marigold sitting at a very nice chair, and you see him pouring, from a large steaming vessel, some water into a basin that he dips his feet into. And he kind of wiggles them about and everything, and he looks at you and he's just like, "Oh, I say, can I help you, sir?"
Chancellor Marigold, I presume?
You presume correctly, my dear man. And who am I speaking to?
Well, I am Durian Greyhawk, the battle bard, and I kind of flare my half cape a little bit, and I give not a regal bow, but a small gesture and bow.
Durian, the battle. Oh, yes. You see, he pulls a scroll and kind of holds it up and everything, and he's looking at it, and he's just like, yes, Durian, the battle bard. Yes. In looking at this paper, it looks like a list. I will just let you know, no roll needed. In the light, you can see that there are several names that have been scribbled out, and the only one that isn't scribbled out is yours at about the 5th spot.
I see. So I will presume I am not the first that has showed up to fix whatever they are beckoning me to fix.
This seems to be the case.
Okay. Your lordship, you have summoned me, yet I find your writing a bit cryptic. And while I do love a good mystery, perhaps now that I'm here, you will share with me what it is you would like me to do.
Yes, of course. Simple matter, but, well, a few months ago, our lake dried up. It is really the only reliable source of fresh water on the entire isle. And as you can tell, it has had unfortunate effect for some of the people in our kingdom. Very difficult for those to live without water, he says as he reaches for a goblet filled with water, carelessly grabbing it and spilling water around, taking a few glugs. Well, you see, what has happened is, at one point, a few months ago, when we realized that the rivers were no longer flowing this way from the lake, I did send out some folks to examine it. The lake had run dry, and you see, at the edge of it, the lake comes right up to the edge of the isle. And there was this tower into the edge, and below it, fractures and holes, just allowing all the water to pour out into the void. And so it has rather left us in a difficult situation. Tower was never there before, and, well, I did need someone to check it out, because frankly, if the tower just appeared there one day, surely there must be a way to get it to go away. Maybe you can knock it down and fill in the holes so that the lake can begin to fill in again once we actually get some rains.
I see. Yes, I would be happy to check out the situation, and perhaps I can find a solution.
Yes. Shouldn't be any big deal, I imagine. a capable person like yourself could have this all sorted away rather soon, don't you think?
Well, I will do my best.
Wonderful.
I'd like to take a look around. Is there any indication now that I know that he is withholding some truths here? Is there any indication, maybe like a glance at his paperwork on the table or something like that, or a specific section of books that have been pulled out that would give me some indication of what they know about the Shadow King?
Absolutely. Why don't you give me a roll for that?
Hey, there it
Let's
is.
see what you glean with that.
Perfect. That is a 16.
16. That is a wonderful success. As you're talking to him, and he kind of like goes off giving you some details about like the location and how he'll be arranging travel, you take some time to look around the room, and you manage to see some papers on his desk that seem to be messages from Knights of the Kingdom. We attempted to approach at night. Something slaughtered 3 of our men. The rest of us barely escaped. We could hardly see anything but the claws striking out from the shadows.
Gotcha. And it is not night currently.
It is not night currently.
Okay, great. Well then, yes. Thank you for your time. I will go check it out, and I will report back to you.
Wonderful, yes. And the sooner you can take care of it, I assure you, your reward will be most handsome.
And I give another quick bow, but it's I don't like this guy, so it's not going to be as deep as the other one was. It's going to be kind of like a nod as I'm walking away, and I flare my cape, and yeah, I will start heading towards the tower.
Absolutely. He's arranged for a little carriage to take you out that way. It is about an hour by carriage and everything. You know, it's a bit of a trip away from town. You follow along a path that is clearly going alongside a dried up river. There's not even any hints of water left in it. It is just this dry bed of river rock and dirt.
I guess there's no indication of how long this would have been. If it's been more than like a week, then it's there would be no telling.
Well, the Chancellor said it's been about a couple months. Okay. So, yeah, as you're going along, do you try and say anything to the guy driving you along the way, or just quietly going along with your trip?
I'll look down at the riverbed and I'll say, wow, a month without water, a couple of months without water, that's it's truly hard on your kingdom.
A lot of people have left. It's tough times here, you know. I mean, kingdom, I never would say that it was grand and luxurious, but it was a hell of a lot nicer than this. But, I mean, with the lake dried up and all that, you know, not a lot of reason to stay. Feels like staying on a sinking ship, know what I'm saying?
I do. You know, let me ask you a question. Of course, the water has dried up, but do you recall the last time it's rained?
We had one good rain, probably about 3 weeks back. People had, you know, tops and cloths set up, draining into barrels, stuff like that, and yeah, I mean, it helped out for a bit and everything, but it's kind of a dry season around here, you know. Yeah. I don't expect we'll see a whole lot of rain for at least another couple months, probably.
And this tower we're going to, it just appeared from nowhere, yes?
Well, that's what they say, yeah. I didn't always take regular trips out here, so I mean, I don't know if it fucking snuck up on them or what, but it certainly doesn't look right. I mean, you'll know when you see it. But now I hear one guy. There's a guy here who, kind of looks around for a second, goes, I'm not really supposed to talk about it. Never mind. Sorry.
No, please. The journey is long. Might as well.
Well, you're not exactly the first person Chancellor's had come out to look at this operation. And one of the guys that I was bringing out here, it's kind of magic-y type, wiggle fingers and stuff like that. And he was saying stuff about, it's sounds to me like a shattered rift anomaly or something like that, Says sometimes certain places, things just kind of drift in and out from the void or something like that. I mean, he had a bunch of words, I couldn't quite piece it all together.
Yes, well, though I may not be the first to come to your aid, I can assure you I will be the last. And I am going to use an ability, Inspire. You inspire a nearby NPC by reciting a meaningful statement to them. Until the end of the day, the NPC shapes their behavior around their ideal and cannot fall victim to their flaw.
Awesome. That is useful. Mm-hmm. As he is inspired,
I'm sorry, I'm Durian, by the way. Durian Greyhawk.
Oh, Macus.
Macus.
Yes, well, I've heard it a few times.
No, it stands out, Mac.
Well, we're coming up to the forest line here. I'll be straight with you. There's something out and about in there that's maybe a wee bit on the dangerous side. Some soldiers have died. Chancellor says that if people knew about that stuff, they wouldn't go out there and try and fix it, but you're going out there risking your life for us, so let me at least walk you in to where the lake is, through the woods and stuff like that. I know a decently safe path.
Well, Mac, thank you. That is very honorable. And I promise to not put you into too much danger.
Well, you know what? It's about time that I face a little danger if I have to. I mean, there's a reason I haven't left this island. It's my home. It's born here, living here, I mean, I don't want to abandon it. But I shouldn't just be relying on folks like you to take care of everything, so I'll do what I can for you.
Right. I slap him on the shoulder as we kind of get to the tree line and both hop off together, and I can see that whatever my inspires has inspired him. It has kind of slightly rejuvenated him a little bit, and I'm glad to have some company.
So he will take you through this wooded area. He will kind of guide you to where this sort of hidden path is and walk you through, and he's just yeah, I mean, never had a ton of reason to come to the lake, before all this happened, it's just the water would come down and everything, and that's all there was to it, There are a couple rivers flowing out to it to the other villages further out on the isle and stuff, so, King didn't want people nestling up here, holding the water or trying to take control of it and stuff, but...
Sure.
I mean, heck, now, maybe if someone was here, this wouldn't happen, I don't know. Maybe that rift anomaly wouldn't have snuck up on us, or however the hell it works.
Yes, well, this rift anomaly, it's really sticking in my mind, and I'm trying to remember. I'd like to see if I can recall if throughout my adventures or study with the bards, if a rift anomaly is something that I'm familiar with.
I would say you don't necessarily need to roll for this.
Okay.
You have heard on occasion, like through the void, there are islands that are relatively stationary. There are islands that seem to almost slowly drift around. And then there just seem to be things that crop up.
Okay.
You've never necessarily heard the term like void rift anomaly, but you have heard of just strange things suddenly appearing, and people would always credit it to, well, there's stuff floating around in the void and whatnot, something probably just crashed onto land and nobody was looking, or some wizard was doing stuff they weren't supposed to.
Sure, as they do.
Yeah. As you're thinking this, and maybe something just crashed up into the island and broke it or whatever.
Sure.
And as you're thinking that, you suddenly stop thinking that the moment you clear the trees and you see this open, dried up crater that once was a lake. And on the far end, like a little wall that comes up to the edge of the isle, you see a tower. But the tower is at a slight angle, maybe about 10 degrees. And it seems to go down and then just as we would describe, clipping through the ground. And there are places where there's just no tower showing, just patches of brick that are missing and are just earthen ground. And then just places where this tower and the earth are intermingling in ways where it's this didn't smash into the wall and do this. It's just at one point in time, there wasn't a tower there, and then suddenly it's like a tower just erupted there or grew there like a tree up around the land or something.
Gotcha.
It is a strange and unnatural sight and weirdly unnerving.
How tall would you say this tower, and is it looming over the edge of the lake a little bit as well?
A bit, yes.
Okay.
It is looming over as it's kind of at that tilted angle. Not so much so that it would just fall over,
Sure.
but leaning Tower of Pisa style, where it's
Sure.
oh, that's not right. It's not, it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
And pieces of the roof have fallen off into the lake.
Okay.
But the tower is kind of protruding up probably about 120 feet
Wow. Okay.
up into the air, and then down as it goes into the ground, you notice down at the base level of the lake, a big part of the tower is just collapsed in, and there's just a hole going into it.
Something is strange here, Mac. Keep your wits about you. As I kind of cautiously keep my eyes along the horizon, looking up at the tower, I step to the edge of the dry bed of the lake to see if there's some sort of magic involved here. If I can sense the essence of magic that's drained this.
Doesn't seem
Okay.
like there's much magical here. As you kind of get down into the lake part, you can see there are these large stones throughout the lake bed and everything that have probably just been at the bottom of the lake for who knows how long. All these different stones. You see, you're walking and crunching through what used to be seaweeds as they have dried up. Yeah, it's just a weird sight. But as you get down in here and look at that tower and look at the hole in it, that does give you an uneasy feeling, and you can definitely sense there's something definitely magical about that.
Sure. As I kind of pick, I've leaned down to kind of pick at the dried seaweed, and then noticing this big gaping hole, I look up, or I stand back to my feet, and I grab my axe from my back, my loot axe, and I just kind of hold it low. I look at Mac and I say, "This is as far as you go. I couldn't hold it on my conscience to know that I allowed someone to get hurt or even killed because of my misstep."
Well, I can go with you, Durian. This is my land. I'll help you out with this. I ain't much of a fighter, but you see he kind of like pulls out a fairly large dagger. He's like, you could use someone watching your back.
Seeing that he's kind of like really wanting to kind of help. I'm not one to to turn away to help at this point. You're a good man, Mac. Thank you.
So are you. Tell you what, we get back to town, I will not buy you a drink, but I do have some stuff at home that I can give you so we can avoid Johnny.
Thank you. The ale is terrible here. I'm sorry to say. It's
really truly putrid. I've got actually I've got a bottle of whiskey at home that I've been saving to celebrate when things are fixed up. So you and me.
fantastic. And I will cautiously take the lead.
I want you to make a roll for me.
Hey. That is a 7.
That is a 7. That is a tough choice.
Tough choice.
The tough choice is going to be, are you the one caught off guard? Or is Mac the one caught off guard?
That is a tough choice because knowing my character, I would, and myself, I want to be caught off guard. But for story's sake, I feel as though I'm more prepared for this situation. So I'm going to go with the story beat of he is caught off guard. And hopefully I will be able to react quickly.
So as you're going through, you're passing by all these large kind of boulders that are in the lake bed. Mm-hmm. And we're getting to the later afternoon at this point. The sun is starting to set and it's casting these long shadows. And as you're moving along, you pass by one boulder on your right and kind of move past it, all clear. And then you're moving up to the next one. And as you're getting up to the next one, suddenly you hear Mac cry out in pain. And he falls to the ground and you can see this dark, shadowy figure that looks kind of like a humanoid that's been stretched by a taffy pole until it's around 9 feet long, arms down on the ground about as tall as you are, and fingers drawn out into these long daggers. And you can see Mac is like holding on to his arm, bleeding a little bit on the ground. And this thing has attacked from a shadow that you just checked and knew was empty. And as you see this, you see the shadowy figure turn towards you, and these just yellow spectral eyes grow and light up into it and stare at you. And we've entered combat. Players first.
Mac! He screams with my loot axe. Since I've prepared myself, I am going to strum it in a single chord. The magic from strumming my lute, the notes begin to swirl around and kind of fly towards Mac. And I'm going to cast Shield on Mac.
Beautiful. And what does Shield offer him?
Yes, so that is going to summon a magical shield that appears in an aura of soft light around their body. The shield blocks up to 3 hit points of damage.
All right, so Mac has been shielded by you. And so I'm going to say that you're kind of nearby. You're
Uh-huh.
a little ways ahead of Mac and everything.
Sure.
So are you kind of staying back there and everything and just keeping an eye on this thing, or?
I I want to think that this is a Scott Pilgrim moment. So I'm just like playing like a bass note, dun, 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 to like have this kind of aura around him momentarily.
Yes.
And I, because I am somewhat concentrating on this spell, I will move towards him, but I'm not gonna like run at a full sprint with an axe, if that makes sense.
Perfect.
Yeah, power chord.
So you are starting to move towards him. So now we switch over to the NPC round. Mac is just kind of like holding himself. You see he reaches and kind of grabs for his dagger, and as he's looking towards his creature, the thing is looking at you, and you see these glowing yellow eyes blink, and they blink close and don't open again. And the next thing that you notice is suddenly feeling its claws behind you, slashing your back for 2 damage.
Oh god.
And turning around, you see this thing 9 foot tall, stretched out on limbs, and its eyes are just right up by your face, unblinking, looking at you. And what would you like to do?
So it scratches across my back. I scream with a mighty yell, and I am going to swing around and swipe at him with my loot axe right towards midsection.
Beautiful.
That is a 10.
It's a 10, so that is tough choice.
Tough choice.
So, I'm going to give the option. You can either do half damage, or you can do full damage, but you will take 1 extra damage as this thing swipes back really fast, kind of catching you in the arm.
I will do half damage.
Half damage. Okay, playing it safe. Gotta
Playing it
respect.
safe for now.
All right. We switch over back to our NPC round. Mac is going to charge in. Your shield moves with him, right? It doesn't like pin him in place.
It's just like a glowing aura around him.
Perfect. Mac is charging in and is going to take a swipe at this thing with his dagger. As he's running, this thing notices him and just bats him off to the side. But thankfully, your shield takes in the damage. Mac got a 4. His roll was not great.
Nice.
And fun thing for anyone watching this, you don't just fail a roll. There are still setbacks. Oftentimes just means failing a roll can mean you're taking damage instead of dealing it. So things are always happening in Quest. The thing bats him away and blinks again. And you see as it blinks, its image standing in the shadows almost feels like an after image in your eyes for a second. You realize that what you think you're looking at is not there. But you do not react in time as this thing comes from behind. And it is not trying to hurt you at this. Well, it's going to hurt you less, but it is going to... You feel these fingers like wrap around both of your shoulders as it pulls you and throws you back, knocking you into a rock for 1 damage.
Okay.
Depending on your next roll, we'll see just how well you complete your next move.
So not gaining much traction with my first strike, seeing Mac get flung back into a rock. This is where the battle part of the battle bard comes out. My chin is down and I look through my eyebrows and there's this like fire in his eyes. I am going to strum my axe that will ignite it with this like energy, right? Swirling around. And I'm going to do reckless attack. Wild attack, not reckless attack, excuse me.
Nice. Reckless Attack is a wonderful podcast that we also recommend.
Okay, so that is a 12, and on a success, I deal double damage.
Oh, I love it. That is beautiful. Describe to me how you destroy this stretched out shadowy figure.
So as I strum the guitar and it lights up in this glowing, like orange, red kind of KO Kid Attack sort of energy, I fling the butt of the head of the axe around, and I double hand it over my head, and I come slamming down and slicing it right down the middle.
As you do, the two halves start to fall apart, and you notice one of them flicker, and once again you have that weird after image. And looking around, you see this other half of the body is like 12 feet behind you, but they are still. And Mac kind of slowly stands up, like ripping off part of his shirt and wrapping his arm. And he's like, holy crap. You're not joking around.
Yes, that's called my raging inspiration. Or my bardic rage inspiration. I haven't decided which it is.
Well, I'm a big fan.
Are you all right?
Crap. Yeah, no, doesn't feel great, but got it wrapped up, and we got business to do. I'm going to say we avoid shadows.
Great idea. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Random Tables. Thank you all so much for listening, and thank you so much to Klaus for getting us started. You can tune in next episode to listen as he concludes his portion of our story. If you like what we're doing here at Part-Time Heroes, please check out our other shows. And if you really like what we're doing here, consider joining the Patreon to support us or grabbing some cool swag. We have some interesting designs for you guys. Thank you once again, and we will see you next week on another Random Table.